everyone, good evening. Welcome to the class. Welcome to your own channel, right? Byju's 8 to 10th. Good evening, everyone. I can see, my God, yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Bhavya. Good evening, Shamil, Disha, Anshita, Gungun, Keshavi, Fenil, Aditi, Manjeet, Dhruv, Charvi, Ojal, Charvi is there, then Aditi, Bigner, Army, Deepak, Richa, Papia. Now, of course. Good evening, everyone. One and all to you, right? To each one of you who are here with us, good evening. Let me just quickly have this with me so that I have a bit of idea. I can see the chat over there. But yeah, today we are in a different studio. So things might be a little bit different. Yes? Yes, right. And I can see that comment that, yes, ma'am, you are perfectly visible and audible to us. Thank you for telling me that. Awesome, everyone. So I hope that all of you are super amazing and super good. You are in a good health, right? Yes? After a long time, we met recently, very recently we met, right? No, we don't have Menti, but we have an amazing session, so we'll be starting with that. Right, everyone? So get ready. I hope that you have your pen and a notebook so that you can note down all the important points that we're about to discuss in today's class. Yes? Awesome, everyone. Good evening to each one of you, and let's start with our session, right? And it's a very interesting chapter altogether. It's a very, very important chapter from the exam point of view. So we'll be focusing over here, right? The chapter name is How Do Organisms Reproduce? It's a very, very important chapter. Yes, till now, of course, if you talk about our previous session, we have discussed in detail about various topics from this particular chapter. And now we will be doing that whole chapter. We'll be taking up, we can say that we'll quickly revising the whole chapter in one shot, right? So I hope that all of you are excited. Yes, we don't have Menti, so let's not ask that question, right? Let's focus on the chapter today that we have. So I want all of you to be very focused, because we'll be discussing about the whole chapter. That is really very important. Yes. On that note, let's start our class, everyone. Super excited. I'm so excited to see each one of you. We have 112 with us. I want more of your friends to join, right? Come on, ask your friends to join the session. This is all for all of us, right? Sharing is caring, so ask your friends to join the session. Before we begin the session, there's a small request. Subscribe to the channel because, of course, we are having an amazing session. Hit the bell icon so that you will get all the notification. And don't forget to like the video, right? I'm good. I'm super good. On that note, everyone, let's start very quickly for this particular session. So, now this particular chapter talks about the reproduction. So let's start with that, what reproduction is. Now, of course, can anyone in the chat box can write what reproduction is? Again, a very, very, very easy word in together, right? We have two words over here, reproduction. And over here we have the definition of reproduction. So we know that reproduction is a process of producing offspring that are biologically or genetically similar to the parent organism. So over here we have a case example of a chicken and a chick right over here. So of course we know that reproduction is a very important process, right, where the offspring will be produced which will be genetically or biologically will be very similar to the parents, right? We are the result of the reproduction, right? And of course that's a very continued process that happens in our environment. Like we have different animals and plants. Very good. I can see the definitions and you guys are absolutely correct over here. Awesome. Good to see that we have the definition clear. And over here, these are the important points that talks about the importance of the reproduction. Now again, reproduction is a really very important process. Now why it is important? First point, it produces a variation in the species. See, you and I, even though we are humans, we are different, right? We are different. We have a lot of variation. And this reproduction actually help in giving the variation in the species, leading to the evolution. We have different changes that we have been observing, right? And all of it is happening because of the reproduction. Because of the reproduction, there's variation. And of course, slowly, we'll see various changes happening and we are leading towards the evolution. Then of course, it actually helps in maintaining the continuity of the species. If there is no reproduction, what will happen? there will be no offspring, right? No next generation. And of course, when they're not there, of course, the continuity of the species will be, in danger situation. And of course, if they are not reproducing or any organism not reproducing, what will happen? They might lead to the extinction of the species. So reproduction is really very important, right? Very good. I can see your answers over there. Awesome. It's good to see that all of you are paying attention to the content that we are learning here, and you guys have already prepared yourself for that. Very good. Yes? Yes, Deepak, we will be discussing very quickly about the mitosis and the meiosis. Just give us some time. Very good. Okay, so we are clear with this, right? We are clear what reproduction is and the importance of the reproduction. Now, let's move ahead to the reproduction type. Now, this is no big science to each one of us, right? We know that there are two types of reproduction. We have asexual reproduction and then we have sexual reproduction. Let's talk about the difference between these two, because a common question in the examination we have this, right? Yes. So we have that in asexual reproduction, we just have involvement of the one parent. In sexual reproduction, involvement of the two parents. Then, of course, we have no gametes are formed in the asexual reproduction. And of course, in the sexual reproduction, we have the gamete formation. Variation will not be there in the asexual reproduction mode, whereas in the sexual reproduction mode, we'll have the variation. So take a screenshot of it, right? Take a screenshot of this. This is really very important, right? The difference between the asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. They can easily ask you to write about the sexual reproduction. We have these important points, right? Very good. Yes. Awesome. Very good. I can see your answers. I can see the comments over here. Very good, everyone. Now, nothing is deleted in this chapter. Yes, we have this particular chapter completely intact as of now. Okay. Very good. Very good. Moving ahead, after in this whole chapter, we talked about the asexual reproduction. So, we'll be starting with the different types of asexual reproductions we have. Now, anyone, come on, we have discussed this right earlier. Those of you who are joining us for the very first time, right, we will be talking about it. It's not that we'll be skipping this part, but those of you who were there with us when we discussed this particular chapter can quickly write about the different types of asexual reproduction we have, the different modes that we have studied. I can see fission, definitely. We have fission, I can see the budding, and I can see the fragmentation also. Yes, there it goes. Then definitely I can see the regeneration, spore formation, and of course the vegetative propagation. Very good, Bhavya. Right, and of course we have Disha. You guys are writing all the complete answers over here. Very good, Fennel, Vaibhav, Diti. Awesome. Yes. Very good. So we'll be quickly discussing about these types of asexual reproduction. Again, I want all of you to focus on the screen, right, and less on the typing, because these are really very important topics. Moving ahead with the first type of asexual reproduction, we'll be discussing about the fission. Of course, it's a very easy word for us to understand. Fission means splitting. Splitting into the parts, and over there we have two types. We have binary fission, where we'll be seeing the splitting of the one parent cell into the two cells, right? And of course, we see this in the amoeba. Very common example of the binary fission is the amoeba. So over here, first of all, what we'll see the organism is there, which is very irregular in shape. Then, of course, first the nuclear division will occur. Then the cytoplasmic division, and of course, the formation of the two daughter cells. Very good. Then we have the multiple fission. More than two cells will be produced, and the example for this is the plasmodium or the paramecium, as you guys are writing. Right? Yes, in binary fission, one of the, again, a good example that you are giving is the leishmania. Very good, Fennel. Yes, plasmodium. Very good. So that's all about the fission, splitting into the parts. This is really very important for all of us to remember about it. Moving to a very interesting mode of reproduction is the budding that we see in the hydra. So over here, it's a very easy process, right? Over here in budding, we'll see the formation of the outgrowth. A bud formation will be there, and of course, it looks like its bud is growing, right? And of course, the bud will grow healthily, right? It will be taking all the nutrient, and of course, it will be getting mature, it will be developing. Once it is completely mature and can take care of itself, what will happen? It will just detach from the parent's body and will stick to a substrate and of course, grow as an individual. Interesting, right? So we see the budding in the hydra and in the yeast. Thank you guys for giving the examples. Very good. So we have budding in the hydra and in the yeast. Okay, that's all about budding. Moving to the next interesting, we have fragmentation. Now, of course, in fragmentation, as a word is there, we'll see the breaking of the fragments, right? Over here, we have the example of the Spirogera. This will be upon the maturation, will be breaking into the various fragments, and each of the fragments will be growing into a new individual. Interesting, right? Yes? So over here, we are discussing about the fragmentation. I want each one of you to focus over here. Yes. In fragmentation, we have an organism that will be breaking itself down, right, into many fragments, and each fragment will grow into the new individual, right? Okay, now one is asking what is the importance of variation, or I think before someone asked about what variation is. So variation are these changes, right? You and me are different. Even though we are humans, even though we have 2 hands, 1 nose, 2 eyes, still we are different from each other. That's because of the genes that we get from our parents, right? That is different. So variation is really very important to help us identify, of course. And of course, when the variation are happening, we will see new and new changes happening. And of course, that will be leading to the evolution. I hope I have answered your question. Yes. Very good. Okay. So now that we're done with the fragmentation, let's move to the next chapter, not the next chapter, but the next topic. Yes, thank you so much. I can see a lot of comments telling that Byju's teachers are super cool. Yes, we are because you are cool, right? Awesome. So let's talk about the next, that is about the regeneration. Now I can see a lot of you are asking what the difference between the fragmentation and the regeneration. Everyone, your attention over here. Now, regeneration is a very different type of mode of reproduction, and it occurs in very few organisms altogether. So, like in a case of planaria, if this particular planaria get cut by an accident, right, over here as you can see, these pieces will grow into a new individual, right? Over here we have a few examples, like we can talk about the planaria, hydra also, and of course, we have the starfish, right? Now, regeneration is not the only mode of reproduction. This is really very important for all of us to understand, right? It's not the only mode of reproduction. Just in case if there is some accident, if there is a cut, right, then only the organism will be going for the regeneration. This is really very important. Okay? Yes. I hope that is clear. So that's the main difference between the fragmentation and the regeneration. Yes, even though we studied it under the asexual mode of reproduction, it's not the first choice, we can say. Done? Very good. I hope that the difference between the fragmentation and regeneration is clear now to each one of you. Yes? Very good. Clear? Okay, give me a thumbs up if you are clear with this. We have regeneration. We have discussed about regeneration, fragmentation, budding, and the fission. Now we are moving ahead to the spore formation again. If you remember the sample paper we have discussed, right? We have this question about the spore formation, right? So, we usually see the spore formation on the bread. I love eating breads, right? I love eating breads. So, over there, of course, if I leave it outside for some time, we can see the growth, right? And over here, there's a growth of the fungi. And of course, we have a very special fungi, which is the bread mold or the rhizopus. Over here, we have the structure. Inside the sporangium, right? Over here, inside the sporangium, we have the spores, and once the spores, right, sporangium will burst out. When the spores will get some moist condition, right, they will be able to, germinate themselves, they'll be able to grow further. Along with that, we have the sporangium, and over here, right, down there, we have the hypha. Okay, this pen is a little bit tricky, yeah, so we have the hyphae. Remember that, right? 2 important structure. Yes? Yes, Chinmay, you are asking that how it's possible, right, that we have the regeneration and budding in hydra. It is possible. See, budding is a very natural process. What happens if there's a cut, right? Just imagine, we know that hydra will be having a bud. If there's a cut and if there's a small outgrowth, it will grow into a new individual. Yes? Very good. I think we all are clear with this. Yes? Awesome. Yes, over here we have the hyphae, which is a stalk-like structure. On top of it, we have the sporangium. Very good. I think we are clear with this, right? Awesome. Now let's move to the next, right? Before we move ahead, we have this information. You can take a screenshot of this, right? We have these all important points that we have the spores inside the sporangia, and over here, just remember the name of the fungi. Moving from here, let's discuss about the vegetative propagation. This is really very important. And in the vegetative propagation, we'll be focusing on the non-reproductive parts like roots, stem, and the leaves, right? So over here in vegetative propagation, a new plant grows from a fragment of a parent plant from the vegetative part of the plant. That can be, root, stem, or the leaves. So over here we have the parent plant, and if we take the stem of this particular plant, which is a rose over here in the example, this particular rose will grow into a new plant. Interesting, right? Super interesting. Yes? Yes. So that's all about the vegetative propagation. Now let's quickly discuss about the two different types we have in the natural propagation. We have natural way and the artificial way. And let's quickly discuss about the natural mode of reproduction like vegetative propagation. We have roots, stem, and leaves, starting with the roots first. Yes? No, we don't have the Menti today. Yes. Great. I can see the answer, potato by bird. I think Suman, I'm not sure about it. I'll not be able to comment on that. Yes. Sonalika. Okay. Sharma, Swami or Sharma. I think you're asking something that I'm not aware of. Yes. Moving ahead, let's talk about the root, right? So we have the root. Over here we have the modified root, and from this root we have the bud, and from this bud actually, of course, we'll see the new plant growing. So it's a very interesting thing, right, to see the growth of a new plant from the roots, right, which of course are below the plants, but roots plays a very important role, right? They can actually help in the growth of a new plant. And over here we have the example of the sweet potato or the carrot. Remember these two examples, sweet potato and the carrot, are the example of the formation of a new plant with the help of the modified roots. Moving ahead, let's talk about the stem, as you guys are mentioning in the chat box about the potato, right? So over here on the potato we have the bud, and of course when we keep this inside a moist condition, if we place it inside the soil, of course we'll be able to see a growth of a new plant. Very interesting. We have the potato, onions, right? They actually grow with the help of the vegetative propagation, right? With the help of the modified stem. Moving ahead to the leaves, through leaves, and of course we have a beautiful plant which is the bryophyllum. I'm sure you must have seen this, right? On the leaves edges, right, you will be able to see the small plantlet to look really very cute. And of course it's possible because of the bud that's over there. This will be growing into a new plant. And of course, right, over here we have these. Oh, I can see you guys writing some extra examples also. Very good. Yes, Keshavi, it's very good. Yes, you're talking about artificial vegetative propagation. Absolutely correct. Yes, very good. So we have over here. Now, let's talk about the artificial vegetative propagation. We are done with the natural way. Now we are talking about the artificial vegetative propagation. Over here we have these amazing things, right? Yes, over here we have grafting. Let's quickly talk about the grafting. So in grafting, we'll be taking two different plants, right? We have the stalk and the scion, right? And of course, we'll be joining them together. So we'll take one part of a plant, right? And another part of another plant. What are we doing over here? We are trying to create a plant with the desirable characteristic features, right? And that is done with the help of the grafting. Then we have the layering. Now layering is a very easy process. We usually do with the jasmine plants, right? If we have a big plant, what we'll do, we'll take the plant. We will take a small stem, right? We will actually cover it with the soil, and what will happen? Of course, we'll be taking a node. We will remove the outer bark of it. We'll be placing it under the soil, cover it aram se, right? And then we'll add the water, and after some time we'll have the new plant. Very interesting process. You can try this at your home. Definitely layering process along with your parents in your garden. You can definitely try this out. It will be super fun. Yes? Yes, very good. Very good, very good. Okay, now let's talk about the next process, which is the cutting. Now we usually see the cutting in the rose plants, right? We can easily, if there's a rose plant, if we cut the stem of the plant, and if we take the stem and if we place it in the soil for some time, we'll be able to see the growth of a new plant. So cutting again is really very easy for us to observe. Yes? Now let's talk about the tissue culture. That's a quite big thing. So let's quickly discuss it out in detail over here. Yes, so in the vegetative propagation in tissue culture, what we'll do, we'll take tissues of the different parts of the plant, right? Then of course that we want to grow. Further we'll be cleaning them off, right? With the help of the sterilization. Then of course we'll be adding these into the nutrient medium. And what will happen after some time, we'll see the growth of the callus, right? Now callus is nothing but a whole bunch of mass of tissues that we have, right? And this calyx will be there in the nutrient medium, and of course we'll be adding it into the another medium, where of course we'll be adding all the important growth nutrients that are required for the plants to grow, and slowly we'll see the growth of a plant. And then we can take this plant into the field and we can grow it. Yes? Okay, I can see the one question. What is the difference between the grafting and the cutting? So in grafting, what will be happening? We'll be having two different parts. We'll be taking a stalk and the scion, right? We basically will be having two different plants. That is grafting, right? And cutting is a very simple process. Cutting the stem or a branch of a plant and then taking that particular branch and placing it into the water or the soil to generate a new plant. Yes, Bhavika, I think I have answered your question. Layering, again a very important process where you will be taking a plant, right? You will be removing the outer stem of it, right? And you will be placing that inside the soil, covering it up, giving the nutrient, and of course from there you will get the new plant. Yes? Yeah. Bhavika, your question is done. Very good. Okay, awesome. Great. Very good. Yeah, thank you, Fennel, for discussing the advantages of the grafting. Very good. Now grafting can be done, for example, if I want to have the special type of mangoes, right? For example, if there is a plant which actually gives a good yield in 4 months, and there's a plant which gives a good yield in 6 months. So definitely I will be going for a plant that gives the good yield in 4 months. And I'm looking for a plant which is disease resistance, right? So I can easily club these two qualities with the help of the grafting process, right? Especially the physical characteristics, especially. Yes? Yes. See, again, I'm sorry to say there is a lot of spam happening. So I'm missing out a lot of your questions. I would request each one of you, please don't spam, because, in that whole process, some of the important questions will get missed. And I don't want to do that. Yeah? Very good. Please don't spam. Very good. So let's quickly talk about the tissue culture, because I can see few of you asking us to explain about the tissue culture once again. So let's quickly go ahead with that. So in the tissue culture, we'll be taking the plant tissues, we'll be taking some plants part, right? Of course, we'll be taking the tissues, we'll be cutting them into small pieces, right? And first of all, we will be taking them and we will be clearing them off, right? We will be sterilizing them. Once that is done, when the cleaning is done, we'll be taking into the labs. Of course, all of this is happening in the labs. Then we'll be taking these pieces into the nutrient medium. We'll be adding into the nutrient medium. This nutrient medium will provide the right amount of nutrient for these tissues to grow. After some time, we'll see the growth of the calyx, right? Very good. Agar is used as a nutrition medium. Very good, Papia. Right? We are learning tissue culture. Please focus over here. Right, so over here, we'll see the growth of a mass of cells, right? We'll see a whole bunch of tissue. We call it as the calyx. And of course, this calyx, when we add into the more nutrient media, will grow into a plantlets, and we can easily grow these plantlets into this nursery in a very protected environment in the soil. And if they're growing and if they're, if they're flourishing, we can take these plants into the outside world. Very good. Okay. I think we are clear with this, right? The tissue culture. Give me a thumbs up, everyone, if you're clear with the types of asexual reproduction. Easy peasy? Yes, Deepak will be coming to that. Meiosis and mitosis in a while. Everyone, very good, Diti. Yes, micropropagation. Very good. I want a thumbs up from each one of you. Yes? And if at all, if there's a very easy question and if I've missed out, please help your friends write the answer there and there. Very good, very good. Awesome. So we are done with the first part of the chapter, which talks about the types of asexual reproduction. Now we will be moving ahead to the sexual reproduction. Okay? Very important. So let's talk about it. So we know that in the sexual reproduction, there's involvement of the two parents, right? Two parents are involved. Then of course gametes are formed, and of course we have the variation over here. Now variation will be there because there are two parents, right? And of course their genes will be getting mixed up. So of course we'll see the variation happening. Okay, so that's the important points about the sexual reproduction. Now in sexual reproduction we'll be starting with the reproduction in the flowering plants. And before we begin with the understanding of the reproduction, let's quickly talk about the different important parts. So I'm sure you are aware about that the flower have four important whorls, or the essential part, right? So out of that we have sepals, which is the green color part which is folded. We have the petals, which are the beautiful bright color, right? So these two are non-essential whorl, right? Then we have stamen, which is the male reproductive part, which has anther and the filament. Over here in the anther, we'll see the production of the pollen grains. And pistil is a female reproductive part. Over here we have stigma, style, ovary and the ovules. Inside the ovaries we have the ovules. Very, very important point. Yes, so over here we have the basic structure of the flower. Now in flowers, of course, if both the reproductive parts, male and female, are present on a same flower, we call that flower as a bisexual flower. And if only one reproductive system is present, we call them as the unisexual flower. Yes? Androecium and gynoecium. Very good. Very good. Yes? Very good. So you are clear with that. Yes. Essential parts are the stamen and the pistil. Very good. Amazing. Okay. Now that we are done with this, let's talk about the pollination process. Right? Now, what is pollination? It's nothing but the transfer of the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. Now, in that also we have two types. We have self-pollination, which is happening on the same flower itself. So the anther, which is producing the pollens, so pollens of the same flower will go, and these pollens will be dropping on the stigma of a same flower, which is self-pollination. In cross-pollination, the pollen grains will be moving from one flower to the another flower of a different plant, right? So we have it, the cross-pollination. Very good. Very good, Fennel, Nikesh. Keshvi, fragmentation. Fragmentation is a type of asexual reproduction, right, where the organism will be breaking it down, right, when it's upon its maturation. It will be it will have various fragments. It will break itself into the fragments, and these fragments will grow into a new individual. Example is the Spirogyra. Remember that. Right? We are clear with this? Okay. Now let's talk about what will happen when these pollen will land on the stigma. Yes? Very good. So over here, let's talk about it. So we'll see the formation of the pollen tube. So as the pollen grains will, right over here, as they will drop on the stigma, we will see the growth of the pollen tube. Over here, as you can see, this is the pollen tube, and over here we have the style, so it will be growing in this style. So it will be germinating, and of course will be passing through the style. After this, of course, this tube is growing further, and it will be moving towards the ovary. Over here, see, pollen tube, ovules and the ovary, and of course this pollen tube will be growing and it will be reaching, right, the ovules inside the ovary. Yes? Very good. So we have this, right? Yes, I can see there are a lot of questions on the double fertilization. Again, I want all of you to focus over here because we are about to discuss about it, about the, double fertilization. Yes? Okay. So once these gametes, can you see there are two gametes over here in the pollen tube? Two male gametes, and from here comes a very important point. So what happens? Let's talk about the fertilization process. Each one of you. Very good, Ashish and Disha. Yes. Right, come on everyone. Yes, so what will happen? See over here we have two male gametes, right? Now you know what will happen first? Only the one male gamete will enter. So what will happen? See, it will fuse with the egg cell. This is important, right? And as it fuses with the egg cell, right, we will see the formation of the zygote, and we call this process as the fertilization or the syngamy, right? So the fusion of a male gamete will occur, and of course we call it as the fertilization. That's the first fertilization that is happening, right? So we'll see the formation of the zygote. But what about this? Can anyone tell me? Oh my God, Disha, very good. Yes? What will happen to this particular male gamete? It will be entering into the inside ovary, and of course it will be fusing with the Two nuclei over there. Yes, polar nuclei. And of course, it will form the endosperm, right? Which is important to provide the nutrition. So what is happening over here? There are two fertilization happening, right? One with the male gamete and with the female gamete, and one with the polar nuclei, which has two nuclei, and the male gamete, which will be helping in the formation of the endosperm. As there are two-time fertilization happening, we usually this whole concept we can easily write in, and we usually study this under the double fertilization. Yes, everyone? Right, over here there are two important terms: syngamy, which is nothing but the fertilization, and when there's a formation of the endosperm, we also call it as a triple fusion, because three nuclei are getting fused. Yes? Everyone, are we clear with this? This is important. I want all of you to give me a thumbs up. Yes? Very good, Ashish. It is called as the triple fusion also. Ma'am, why the flower has both? But no. So we are talking about the flowers in the sexual reproduction, not in the asexual reproduction. Yes? Okay. So I think this is clear, right? Let me just explain it really very quickly to each one of you again. So we are talking about the fertilization in the flower. Everyone focus over here. We are talking about the fertilization in the flower. So we have two gametes, right? If we go back, we have two gametes. First, male gamete will be moving inside the ovary and of course fusing with the egg cell over here, right? Of course in the ovule, sorry. And over here we have the formation of the zygote. So this is called as the fertilization. That's the first fertilization, right? That's the first fertilization. Very good. Okay. Then of course, if you see over here, there are other cells. There are two cells over here. There are three cells over here, and there's one more cell. And this is nothing but the nucleus, right? So now the one gamete which is there outside will be moving inside, and of course will be fusing with the polar nuclei, which has two nuclei, right? Over here we have a central cell, right? It has two nuclei. It will fuse with it and it will form the endosperm. As there are three nuclei which were there, as they fuse, we call it as a triple fusion. Okay, fertilization and the triple fusion, or the syngamy or the triple fusion. So in the fertilization process in the plants, we'll have male gametes plus egg cell, which gives us the zygote, male gamete plus polar nuclei, which gives us the endosperm. Yes, the function of the endosperm is that it will be providing in the growth and it will be providing the nutrient. Yes. This is not considered as the asexual reproduction because it has two gametes, right? Important thing, it has two gametes. One is coming from the male and one is coming from the female. That's why these are the sexual reproduction. Very good. Thank you, Tripti. Thank you so much for answering that. Very good. Very good, very good. Yes, there are two nuclei. You'll be learning about them when you will be moving into higher classes. As of now, we know that there's a cell which is there. It has two nuclei. Okay. I think if I'll say more, you might get confused. So we'll stop over here. You'll be learning in your next class. Yes? Awesome. Everyone, give me a thumbs up very quickly. We're done with the half an hour. Yes, we have more time. Come on. Very good. I want to see a thumbs up again and then we'll move. Awesome. Very good. You can make a smiley also. It said happy, alright, we are happy learning about a very interesting topic and a new chapter. Yes? Awesome. Let's move ahead, everyone. Let's move ahead to the next important topic. So after fertilization, what will happen? Of course, we'll have the formation of the fruits. So once the fertilization is done, all the other parts, will be just, they will shed off. And sorry, over here. So we have the petals, stamens, right? And of course, style and stigma, and all of these will fall off after the fertilization process. And we'll see the seeds formation, right? As you can see, we have the seeds. Now, of course, once we have the seeds, what will happen? We'll see that there's a covering, right? And of course, we'll see that the ovary will be growing rapidly to form the fruit, and the ovule that is there, it will become the seed. Interesting, right? So again, this is a very, very common question asked in the examination. It can be asked in the MCQs. It can be easily asked in the fill in the blanks, right? So focus over here. The ovaries will grow into the fruit and the ovule will grow into the seed. So ovary into the fruit and ovule into the seed. Okay, remember that? And of course, I'm sure all of us know the fruit, right? Let's talk about this. Now, when we're talking about the fruit, of course, we have seeds inside the fruit, right? And over here, we have the structure of a seed. We have the seeds inside the fruit, and over here we have the plumule, we have the radicle, and of course, over here we have the cotyledons. So the plumule will be developing definitely into the future shoot or the stem, whereas the radicle will be growing into the roots, and cotyledons are the one that provides the nourishment and the nutrition. Yes? Very good. Yes. So of course, once we have the seed, and if the seed is given the right condition, absolutely correct, Bhavishika, right? We know that we'll see the process of germination. Slowly, the seed will germinate, given the right condition, and it will become a new plant, right? It will grow into a plant. This is dicot. Yes, Deepak, you're absolutely correct. This is dicot. Yes? Very good. Awesome. So we are clear with this. Now everyone, we are moving to the sexual reproduction. Now this is important. Sexual reproduction in humans. Right? So I want all of you to focus over here. And I really want each one of you to, let's just reduce the chat flow, right? Because I might miss many of your questions. Let's not spam over here. Okay? Very good. On that note, let's start with the sexual reproduction in the humans. This will be the topic that we are learning for a very first time, right? So we'll be going a bit slow and we will take care of it. Yes, okay. So we'll be discussing about the reproduction in the humans, right? So when we talk about the reproduction in the humans, we know that, of course, with the whole of this whole process, we'll see the growth of a new individual, right over here. Slowly in the mother's womb, we'll see the development of the babies, right? And of course, we know that in the human reproduction, we know that it occurs with the, basically we have the sexual mode of reproduction, right? There is the involvement of the two parents, gametes formation and variation will be seen. So this is the basic thing we all are clear of, right? That what will be happening in the sexual reproduction in the humans. Now let's talk about in detail about the important topics that we have over here. So we are starting with the very first important topic, that is puberty. Yes, that is puberty. Now can you write in the chat box what puberty is? Thank you, Bhavishika. Yes, we'll be discussing about the diploid and the haploid over here. Yes. Yes, Deepak, we will be discussing about that. Yes. So can you write about what puberty is? Right? We usually talk about it. We have this in our textbooks in class 8th. So we have an idea, right? What is the puberty? Yes? Very good. I can see some of the normal growth that, yeah, okay, changes in the body occurs. Very good. Yes, different changes. Yeah, absolutely correct. So if we have to define the puberty, it's a period, right? So it's a period when the rate of a general body growth begins to slow down, right? And reproductive tissue begins to mature, and we call that phase, right, this particular period as the puberty. So important thing over here, the growth rate will stop, right? It will become really very reduced. Basically, we can say that it will be very slow, not reduced, not stop, slow. But of course, the reproductive tissue will start to mature. And of course, we have it at the adolescence, we usually call that time. Now let's talk about what will be the changes. As you guys, all of you are mentioning over here that there will be various changes in the body. So let's talk about the changes that will be happening in the body of the individual. First thing first, there will be the growth of the body hairs, right? Then of course, the genitals will become darker. There will be the growth of the genitals, and of course, skin become oily, and because of that only we have those pimples, right? And the acne. And of course, there are other reasons also, but one of the common reasons we usually say. So we have some of the changes that we'll see. Now focusing on the specific things that will be happening. So again, a common question asked in the examination, what will be the changes that we will see in a male or in a female? Vaibhav, I would request you to not spam, right? Don't spam. Yes, Vaibhav, thank you so much. Very good. So, the changes that we'll be seeing in a male, first of all, the growth, right, of the body and the facial hairs. That's a very, big change that we'll be seeing. Then, of course, the bodies become more muscular. There will be the cracking of the voice will change, right? That's really very significant. Apart from that, we will see, right, in the males, we'll see the enlargement of the penis and the production of the very important hormone, which is the testosterone. So these things will be happening, right, in the males during the puberty. That's how the changes will be there. Talking about the changes that we will be seeing in the females over here, there will be the production of the hormone, which is the estrogen or the estrogen, right? There will be the onset or the beginning of the menstrual cycle, the monthly cycle. There will be the enlargement of the breast and, of course, widening of the hips. So these are some of the common changes that we will be observing, or a male or a female will experience in their body when they are in a teenage. Are we clear with this? Yes, are we clear with this? Thank you, Yashrat. Very good. Caused by bacteria? Yes, I think we have studied that. Very good, very good. So we are clear with this, right? We are clear with the puberty. Now let's talk about the sexual reproduction. Now, if I ask you about the sexual reproduction, we know that we have male and female, right? And of course, they possess, right? They have the reproductive system, right? And these reproductive system are responsible for the reproduction process, right? And of course, we'll see the formation of the gametes in the reproductive system. So let's talk about it. Starting with the male reproductive system first, okay? We'll start from here with the male reproductive system. So over here we have the male reproductive system. I want each one of you to focus over here. When we talk about the male reproductive system, first of all, we should know the important parts that are present, right? So we are starting with the testes, right? Now these are the important organ or the primary organ where the production of the sperms will occur. Please note this down, right? Over here. Yes? So, sperms are produced in the testes. From there, right from the testes, they will be moving to the outside. Over here we have the epididymis, and along with that we have the vas deferens, which is a tube-like structure, which is a very narrow duct or the tube that will be carrying the sperms from the testes right over here ahead from the epididymis to the glands. Now over here we have two glands. We have seminal vesicle gland, right, which actually provide much of the fluid that will be making up the semen. Now, important word over here is the semen, right? Now, semen is the component, right? Basically, it has two important components. It has the fluid and the sperms into it, okay? So, the fluid that we have, right, the majority of the fluid that we have in the semen will come from the seminal vesicle, and the prostate gland will provide the nourishment to the sperms. Okay, are we clear with these two facts? Yes, everyone? Sperms are produced in the testes, then they'll be moving to the vas deferens, right? Vas deferens, from there to the glands over here. We have the seminal vesicles and the prostate glands, and from there they'll be moving to the ejaculatory duct. From there to the urethra over here, and in the urethra, of course, there will be the urine also. So in a male reproductive system, the outlet, right, the moving of the urine happens through the urethra, and the sperms also move through the urethra. And through the penis, the sperms will be released out from the body. Yes? So over here we have these important parts. And these are the important parts that you have in your textbook. Usually, these are the important parts, in the examination you will be asked questions on. Yes? Very good. Very good, Fennel. It is fluid, right, Papia? Yes. So are we clear with this, everyone? Give me a thumbs up. Very good. You're writing the process name, Diksha. Very good. So are we clear with it? Give me a thumbs up or a smiley. So that's all about the male reproductive system. We'll be moving ahead to a very important topic again, which is related to it. Now this is a common question. Again, a very, very famous question which is usually asked is why the testes are present in the scrotum, right? So over here we have the testes, and they are present outside the body of the male, right, in the scrotum. Now, scrotum is basically a sac-like structure, right? And these testes are located in the outside the body in the abdominal cavity, in a sac-like structure called as the scrotum. Now, this scrotum plays a very important role in maintaining the temperature, right? Now, as the testes are outside the body, right, what will happen? The temperature of the body is reduced, right, of course. So, the normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, right? For the production of the sperms, the testes require less temperature. So, as they are present outside the body, there is a 2 degree less temperature, right? And this temperature actually helps us in providing the testes the right temperature for the production of the sperms. So, again, a very important question. I hope that you got this particular question. Yes? All of you? Yes. Yes, I can see. Thermoregulator, yes. Very good. Anshita, yes, low temperature. Yes. Okay. Very good. Awesome. Very good, Kriti. Very good. So we are clear with this. So we have talked about the male reproductive system. Let's quickly talk about the path of the sperm which is there, right? And the path these sperms will be following. Papilla, the function of the testis, that plays a very important role in the manufacturing and the production of the sperms. Okay? So testis is the primary sex organ of the male reproductive system where the production of sperms will occur. And over here we have the pathway of the sperm. Produced in the testis will be moving into the vas deferens over here. This is the epididymis, right? And over here, this is the vas deferens, right? So, it's a duct, right? It will be carrying the sperm to the seminal vesicle. These two are the accessory glands. This will be playing a very important role in the whole process, right? So, over here, we can see the glands over here. And these glands will be releasing their secretion. These secretion over here will be moving into the duct. And over here, it will be further carried into the urethra and, of course, through the penis, right? This is how you should remember it. Everyone, are we clear? Yes, are we clear? Right? Very good. Right? Hi Tanvi. Awesome. So are we clear with the male reproductive system? So we have two important glands. We have prostate gland and we have the seminal vesicle gland. You should know the function about it, right? You should have one point about the function of each of these glands. Absolutely, very good. So if we quickly recall, sperms are produced in the testis, then we'll be moving to the vas deferens, moving to the seminal vesicle gland, right? Gland from basically through their ducts, right? These glands will be releasing their secretion, then of course into the urethra and then out of the body. Sperms are produced in the testis, they are present, these testes are outside the body, right, in the scrotum. And why is that? Because testes need a less temperature for the formation of the sperms. That's why they're in the scrotum. Very good. Chinmaya, so the seminal vesicle gland right over here helps in production of adding the fluid that is there in the semen. Okay. And the prostate gland will be adding up the fluid that will be providing the nourishment and the nutrient to the sperms. Yes. Vartika, Chinmaya, I have answered your question. Yes, guys, everyone, are we clear with it? Yes? Okay. Moving ahead to the sexual reproduction in the female reproductive system, let's talk about it. So over here we have the female reproductive system. This female reproductive system is more complex as compared to the male reproductive system. Yes, so we have the fallopian tube over here. We have the ovaries, uterus, cervix and the vagina. So let's talk about these parts. Let's talk about the important point over here. So ovaries are the primary organ, right, in the female reproductive system, and inside the ovaries only we'll see the formation or the development of the egg. Yes? Yes, Fenil, it's not there. You will be learning about that in your higher classes. It is there, right? But yeah, it's not mentioned in your textbook. Okay? So we have the ovaries that actually help in the production of the eggs. Inside the ovaries only we'll see the growth of the egg. And the egg will be moving, releasing from the ovaries and will be moving into the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube is a long tube that will be receiving the egg. And over here only we'll see the fertilization happening. Then the uterus, where the growth of the zygote will occur. Then the cervix, right, over here, and the vagina, through where these sperms will be entering into the female reproductive system. Moving ahead, let's talk about the female reproductive system over here. So we know that ovaries will be producing these female gametes, which we call as the oocyte or the egg. See over here, right? And they will be getting released into the ovary. Over here, they will be moving out from the ovary and going into the fallopian tube. See over here, from the ovary to the fallopian tube. I'm sure you can see on the screen, right? Very good. Yes. So we know that ovum, right, or the egg, will be entering into the fallopian tube from the ovaries, and the fertilization process will be happening in the in the fallopian tube itself. Now, what is a fertilization process? The fusion of the male and the female gamete. Yes, very good, Ashish. Very good. Very good, Srivastav. Very good. I can see you guys have good information about it. Very good. Right? So, we will see the fertilization happening over here. After the fertilization process, we'll see the formation of the zygote, right? And over here, we have the diploid cell. Now, I'm sure many of you were asking about the haploid and the diploid condition, right? So, over here, in diploid, of course, when we talk about it, of course, when we think in terms of the information genetically, it will have the double the information, right? It has diploid cells right over here, and it will be dividing, and of course we'll see the differentiation process happening. On that note, let's talk about the mitosis and meiosis, right? Many of you were asking about these two. So these two are the different two process, right? Which basically help in the cell division. So mitosis occurs in the skin cell, like in all the different parts of our body, right? We'll see the mitosis, where the cells will be dividing, right? And they will be having the exact number of chromosomes as the parent cell. This is important. Then we have meiosis that occurs in the only germ cells, right? Like the sperms and the ova, right? And over here, in meiosis, we'll see the reduction division. The chromosome number will be getting halved. So initially, if they were 46, by the end of this process, we'll have 23 chromosome. So this will be happening in the process of meiosis, right? And in mitosis, we'll see the exact copy of the parent. So in the diploid cell, we'll have 46 chromosomes. We can say double pair of the chromosomes. Whereas in the haploid cell, we'll just have one copy, right? Like 23 pair of chromosomes. I hope that is clear. Now I want a thumbs up from each one of you who are asking about the mitosis and the meiosis and the haploid and the diploid cell. Very good, Nikesh. Haploid we represent by N and diploid by 2N. Yes, I think, okay, we're almost about to reach 1 hour, everyone. Let's quickly hold ourselves back and let's quickly move ahead. Very good. Now let's talk about over here. So once the fertilization is done, right? Once the fertilization is done, we have the zygote. Now this zygote, as you can see over here, see? Now this zygote will be dividing. It will be continuous division from 1 cell to 2 cell, from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, and will be further dividing and will be getting, right, implanted in the uterus, right? It will be getting implanted into the uterus. As the implantation occurs in the uterus, right, the female can be said as pregnant, right? The pregnancy will start. Now this is really very important. After the implantation only, right, we will be able to detect the pregnancy. Are we clear up to here? Now let's talk about this important process, right? Now of course, after the implantation, what will happen? The fetus, right, which is there, will be growing further and further, right? And in humans, we have a time of 9 months, right? The development will be happening for a 9 month, and after that, the baby will be delivered outside the body, right? Of course. Yes? Now, during this development, there's a very important tissue that plays a very important role to provide the nutrient, give the oxygen, carry back the waste from the developing fetus is the placenta. So over here, placenta has a disc-like structure over here, as you can see. Now this is embedded in the uterine wall, right? And of course, it have these blood vessels which are connected to the uterine wall. And over here we have the umbilical cord which is attached to the growing fetus. So all the important nutrient from the mother's body, right, oxygen, will be coming through the placenta, and of course from there it will be moving to the umbilical cord, and that's how the growing fetus will be getting all the important nutrient. The waste material from the growing fetus, be it the carbon dioxide or any kind of waste, will be going back through the umbilical cord only. Yes? Okay? Yes? So uterus is also called as a womb, right? Because we'll see the development of the growing fetus there. Right? We'll see the growth of the embryo in the uterus. Are we clear with these all facts? Right? This is all you have in your textbook, right? This is really very important. Very good. Right? Awesome. So I think we are clear with this. Right, so we are clear with this whole process. We have discussed about the ovary, right, where we'll see the formation of the egg. Then, of course, the fallopian tube, uterus, and how the development will be happening. We talked about the placenta. Very good. Now let's talk about something really very important. Now, what will happen if there's no fertilization, right? If there's no fertilization in the female, what will happen? There's a cycle called as the menstrual cycle. Now over here we have this uterus lining, right? The lining that we have over here is the endometrium. This is important. You can note this down. Okay. So this lining basically develops every month to provide the nutrient to the growing embryo, right? It will be there every month. If the fertilization occurs, of course, it will be providing the nourishment to the growing embryo. But if the fertilization is not happened, that means there's no fusion of a male and a female gamete, what will happen? This lining will shed itself out, right? There will be the shedding of this particular uterus lining, and that will initiate the cycle, right? And we call that as the menstrual cycle, right? We will see that if the egg is not fertilized, the uterine wall will shed the blood lining, right, and which will be coming out through the vagina, right, as a blood and the mucus, and of course we call that whole cycle as a menstrual cycle. Right, everyone, we are clear with this, right? Now in the menstrual cycle we have different phases. First, of course, we have the menstrual phase, right, where of course the uterine lining will break, right? Then we have the follicular phase, and this follicular phase will see the development of the ovum, right? Slowly, from 6 days to 12 days, uterine lining will continue to thicken, and of course, we'll see the development of the ovum. In ovulation, the ovary will be releasing the ovum into the fallopian tube. And in the last phase, which is the luteal phase, we'll see that the uterus lining will be getting more and more thicker, right? Amazing. So I can see that all of you are over here. I hope that this is clear. Yes, everyone? Yes. Great. Very good. I think all of you are clear with this important concept, right? I can see a lot of you are spamming. Not good for you and for the other, your friends over here. Yes? Let's just stick to the learning, everyone. Don't spam over here. Very good. Awesome. Now that we are done with this important process, let's talk about the reproductive health. Just 1 minute. Yeah, here we are, right? So now let's talk about the reproductive health. Now, why it is important? We have these systems, right? We always take care about the digestive system, respiratory system, so we should take care about the reproductive system. And over here we have the reproductive system. So let's talk about the health of the reproductive system. Reproductive health is a state of, definitely, when we talk about, be it the physical, mental and the social well-being in all the matters, right? And of course, this is really very important for the individual health. Yes, this is a definition by the WHO. Very good, Yashrat, very good. Yes, so we have this, right? And now reproductive health is really very important because it will be helping us to keep healthy, right? So when we talk about the reproductive health, we should definitely talk about the various diseases that can be caused. And we call these diseases as the sexually transmitted diseases. First over here we have the gonorrhea, which is caused by the bacterium. Right over here, you can note down the name of it. We have another disease, which is the syphilis, again caused by the virus. And over here we have the AIDS, as you guys are already mentioning over here, right? AIDS is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, right? So these are some of the STDs, or the sexually transmitted diseases, right? And these diseases get transferred from one individual to another if there is a sexual contact, if there is a use of a same needle, like the same blood transfusion is happening. All of these, right, can be the mode of the transmission of these diseases. We have discussed these diseases, right, and how the transmission will occur in Why Do We Fall Ill chapter. And I'm sure you have studied it in the 9th class, right? Yes? Very good. I can see your answers. Very good. So that's all about the sexually transmitted diseases. Then of course, to prevent, right, or to protect, of course, we have the contraceptive methods, right? We have the contraception. So intentional prevention of the contraception, right, is really important. And of course, we have this a very important topic in our textbook also. So in the contraception, we'll be discussing about the various methods that can an individual take to protect themselves from the various STDs. So over here, we'll be discussing about the methods of the contraception. We have different types of the contraception over here, so let's talk about it. Very good, Yashrat. A stands for the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Very good. Why zygote form? What is the name of the... So zygote, right? It's basically a cell form. It's after the fertilization process, we have a cell. That's a zygote. We call it as a zygote. Yes? Now, in the different... we have the different types of contraceptive methods. We have these 4 listed down. Let's talk about each very quickly. We have the barrier method. Now this, as the word suggests, barrier, right? It is a method where there will be the barrier between the sperms and the female reproductive system. So these will be providing the barrier between the sperms and the female reproductive system. In that we have male and female condoms. Then of course we have the intrauterine device, right? Now common one we have is the copper T or the loop. It can be easily inserted in the uterus of the female. It can easily release the copper. It will be releasing the copper ions, right? These copper ions will be reducing the mobility or the movement of the sperms. So the sperms will not be able to move towards the fallopian tube. Then of course these will be causing the irritation. Of course, a side effect of the intrauterine device is that it can cause irritation in the uterus. Then moving further to the hormonal method. Now these are the anti-pregnancy drugs. Now these drugs will be changing the hormonal level. That will be stopping the implantation process, right? And these can cause a hormonal imbalance in the body in general. Then we have the surgical method. So over here we have 2. We have tubectomy, that is the, the fallopian tube will be cut and blocked so that the ovum will not be able to meet the sperm. And we have the vasectomy, where the vas deferens is blocked by the surgery to stop the pathway of the sperms moving. So these are the few of the surgical method. 2 surgical methods that we have over here. And now talking about the advantages of the contraception. Now as we we all are aware that these contraception methods can actually help us to prevent the unwanted pregnancy. These help in the family planning. It plays a very important role in the maternal health of the female, right? And of course help in the prevention of the STDs. Yes? So we have this understanding about the whole chapter. Now that we are done with this chapter, now of course after 1 hour, let's quickly revise it. So we have discussed about the asexual reproduction, right? We have discussed about the fission, budding, fragmentation, regeneration, spore formation and vegetative propagation, right? If you haven't, if you have any difficulties over there, you can easily go back to the sessions, right? We have individual sessions on these. You can go and, you can definitely watch them again. Then of course we have the summary on the sexual reproduction of flower, the structure of the flower, right? We have this, right? We talked about the structure of the flower, then the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system, and of course we have talked about the menstruation. Then we have discussed about the different types of contraceptive methods, right? And all with this, everyone, I can say we are done with the chapter. Yes, I hope that you had a great session, right? And before we go off, or before I sign off, there's a homework for you guys. Please write your answers in the chat, not the chat box, in the comments below the video. I'll be happy to answer you back, right? I'll be reading your answers. In the next class, we'll discuss it, right? So please write your answers in the comment section below. Once the video is done, once the class is over, you will get a chance to write the answer in the comment section below, right? Awesome. So we have the question over here, right? And you can see the question. I'll not be reading it for you. You can take a screenshot of it, right? And of course, over here we have another question. So total in all, 2 questions for you. Tomorrow again, we will be meeting. If you have any doubts, again, a very important thing for all of you, you have 1 day time. Go back, again, read it through. If you have any doubts, right? Tomorrow we'll be having the question answer, right? We will be discussing some of the important critical questions from this particular chapter at 6 p.m. So join back, we'll be discussing more about it. Yes? Awesome, everyone. So on that note, I'm sure you definitely believe that we got you covered, right? And of course, with this, we will end our session. You can go in the link and you can try our amazing classes, right? Super awesome. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you had a great session and I hope that you have paid attention to the important topics that we have discussed, and I hope that you have just gathered all the information. Just don't mind the spam. There are a few kids who are spamming really very badly. We are here to study, right? And we will be doing that. Yes, we can definitely avoid those guys, people over here. Yes. So tomorrow again we'll be meeting, right? And keep on learning with us. Lots of love to you. And take care. And yep, see you soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.